What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into another episode of The Loud Bostonian. Today I'll be doing my review of Chapter 3 of The Mandalorian, The Sin. I didn't get a chance to do my Chapter 2 review or reaction, but quick recap on that one. I fucking love that episode. I love the first episode of Mandalorian. I love the second episode of Mandalorian. Mandalorian is my favorite thing in Star Wars in a long time. So I was super ecstatic to sit down and watch episode 3 last night. I did, and I gotta say, it is the best episode of the season so far. And I'm gonna go as far as saying episode 3 of The Mandalorian is the best 37 minutes of Star Wars that has ever been recorded across any medium. I friggin' loved this episode, guys. It is phenomenal. You have The Mandalorian returning with the Baby Yoda, and this is major spoiler review, guys. I'm not hiding my things with the Mandalorian anymore. You had all last night to watch it. If you didn't, that's your problem. Tune out now. So the Mandalorian, obviously after his time getting the asset in episode 1 and 2, he returns to Werner Herzog's character, the client, to return the Baby Yoda. Now, I knew this episode was going to go one of two ways. Either right off the bat, he was going to not return the Baby Yoda because he's definitely grown attached to the thing, or he's going to return it, and by the end of the episode, if not already make the plan to go back and retrieve the baby and save it, at least he's either going to try to retrieve the baby or set up plans to retrieve the baby at the end of the episode, or actually retrieve the baby by the end of the episode. And obviously it's the latter. He receives payment in the Beskar, or whatever the metal is called, from Mandalore, returns it to the forger, has himself forge his brand new armor, which is pretty freaking awesome, all silver plated and shit. I really, really dug that. And then he goes to Carl Weathers to get his next assignment. And the whole time you can tell it's eating away at him. And by the way, before we even get to that part, the forge area where he's actually talking with the forge master and all the other Mandalorians come in, you can tell that there's some tension there. They're sick of hiding out and how their society has crumbled, and they blame the Empire for a lot of it. So the fact that he's showing up with his Imperial Beskar is driving the other Mandalorians mental, and there's some fighting that ensues. It's pretty cool. I couldn't tell, and I have to rewatch it again, but the Mandalorian he gets in a fight with, it almost looks like he pulls out I'm sure it was just a regular knife, and maybe it was just the reflection of on my TV or something, the way that it looked. But it looked like he pulled out a Darksaber knife. And if that was it, that's pretty freaking awesome. But it probably wasn't. That seems like something that if they're going to relate to, they will bring it in later episodes and really address a full episode with it like they did in Rebels. But yeah, it was a really cool setup. I love the dynamic between them and how they eventually, after they're squabbling, they revert back to the codes and teachings of Mandalore, and that they respect that more than anything. So it was pretty cool. When he gets his new armor, he goes to see Carl Weathers' character to get his next assignment. And wouldn't you know it, the assignment is he's going after what is Admiral Akbar's species called? Shit. I just had it at the tip of my tongue. Whatever. He's going after the species of whatever Admiral Akbar is, which will probably come to me as I finish up the rest of this review. So he's going to take that client, or that hit, and he's about to walk off, and he asks Carl Weathers what's going to happen to the baby. And he says, yeah, it's not really our Assassin's Guild to ask these sorts of questions. If you really have a problem with it, I suggest you go and report it to the new alliance, the new rebel, not the rebel alliance, the new republic. And obviously he smirks, or he doesn't like that idea. He thinks that's foolish. So he walks off, he gets in his ship, and there's a moment at the beginning of the episode where Baby Yoda hops out of the little egg thing he was being carried in and unscrews it almost looks like a shifter knob from one of his controls in his ship, and he's playing with it, and he takes it away from him and puts it down and doesn't actually put it back on. He gets in his ship, firing up his ship, getting ready to leave, and he goes to grab that shifter knob, and it's not on. Because he remembers Baby Yoda playing with it, goes to screw it back on, and he shuts his ship down. He's not going to let them do whatever they're going to do to this Yoda creature. So he goes back to the place where the client is. He storms it in epic fashion, just dispatching stormtroopers left and right, fucking slitting throats and just blowing them away, like knocking them down even when on the ground, still shooting them, lighting them on fire. Like he's going all out gunslinger on these guys, and it's awesome. Some of the best action ever. His way sneaking around and everything. Eventually, he gets to the doctor who I didn't notice, and I know it's on the internet now, but he certainly has a Camino cloner patch on his shoulder. So that's a cool tie-in to Episode 2. But Episode 2, the Star Wars movie, the franchise, Attack of the Clones, Episode 2, not Episode 2 of The Mandalorian, which he was in Episode 1. But all right, I'm going off topic there. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anyways, so he goes back in and he finds the doctor and he's doing some testing on the Baby Yoda, and you think he's going to kill the doctor. He doesn't kill the doctor. The doctor pleads with him and says, look, I haven't hurt this. It's because of me that he's not dead. I don't want to hurt the creature. And he's cowering in the corner, and by the time he looks up again, the Mandalorian has stolen back the baby and is escaping with it. And it's pretty epic, and he's on his way out. But as he's leaving, you think he's dispatched all these stormtroopers. He's in the clear. He's heading back to his ship. Whatever tag is on this Baby Yoda that had originally set off his beeper thing when he was tracking down the Baby Yoda starts going off again on every single bounty hunter in the guild. So now, I was thinking this was going to be set up for another episode, but there was still like 12 minutes left in the episode, so it wasn't. Sets up all these assassins coming after him, including Carl Weathers, and there's this big epic showdown where he's taking out a whole bunch of them. He's really kind of stuck in a corner, and who comes to the rescue but the rest of the Mandalorians? It's freaking awesome. They all come into battle with their jetpacks, and they're blowing people up, and they help him escape with the Baby Yoda. And it was just an epic episode, guys. It was so cool, and like I said, it was my favorite 37 minutes of Star Wars together. Like, obviously, the movies still mean a lot to me, and if you compare it on whole, I probably still love the movies across the board better, but this specific 37 minutes of this episode was nonstop adrenaline, nonstop action, and it was freaking awesome, and the story really developed, and the lore developed. Everything you want in Star Wars crammed into 37 minutes. Best 37 minutes of Star Wars history, for sure. So, I loved it. I want to know what you guys thought of the third episode of The Mandalorian. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, comment below, let me know what you thought of this third episode, and what you hope to get out of the rest of this series, because I can't tell you enough that I am thrilled to see where this is going. So, anyways, that's going to do it for me, guys. We'll catch you next week. Thanks.